Hi, everybody. Welcome to More Than Just a Movie. I think Leroy and I had a show before the show. I'm not even going to
I
tell
was just thinking the same thing.
I'm not even going to tell you what we were talking about. But we couldn't even talk about this on the panel.
No, we couldn't talk about it.
The private conversations my brother and I have. Lord have mercy. Welcome to More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. This is season 3. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're trying a new background. We'll see if it works. If not, you might see another one or slightly different, but I'm going to see how it looks. If you are watching live, let us know what it looks like. I know we can't see some of the pictures, but you can see some of the movies. We got Claudine, Sparkle, Coming to America, Love Jones, Love and Basketball. So a lot of different ones. I'm going to make sure I tag you right here. Because I can make it less busy next week. I can do some things to it. I had 2 different ways, so we will see. All right, welcome to More Than Just a Movie. Today, we are still in our music month, so music movies. And today, we got Ray. Let's get it. Today, all right, y'all know I be in here creating, doing stuff. I'll round it out. I'll look to see how it is. But welcome. As we said, we are doing Ray. That movie came out in 2004, and Jamie Foxx embodied Ray. So just in case you didn't see it, 2004 biography, musical drama film focused on 30 years in the life of rhythm and blues musician Ray Charles. The independently produced film was co-produced and directed by Taylor Hackett, and it stars Jamie Foxx as the title role. We have Kerry Washington, Clifton Powell, Harry Lennox, Terrence Howard, Lorenz Tate. Come on, Regina King. I mean, so many powerhouses in this movie. It came out October 29, 2004 by Universal Pictures. It was also a commercial success, grossing $124.7 million worldwide on a budget of $40 million.
That's the part right there.
So
budget
of
$40
million to make it, and made $124.7 million. I'm gonna bring my brother. Welcome, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. Couldn't do this show without him. He is my amazing co-host. I know I'm gonna stop right there because Leroy loves this part. So I'm gonna let you go with this part.
It's all about them. It's about the numbers, and people gotta understand. A $40 million movie, and it made almost $125 million. It tripled what it cost to make. Tripled. That's Will Smith numbers right there. Mr. Box Office numbers right there.
Ooh-wee. So in this, Ray received so many accolades when it came out in nominations, and was nominated in 6 categories. 77, the 77th Academy Award, his performance Academy Award for Best Actor, as well as a Golden Globe, BAFTA, Screen Actors Guild, Critics' Choice Awards, becoming the second actor to win all 5 major lead actor awards. I'm not sure if you understand how huge that is. For the same performance, and the only one who won a Golden Globe in the musical or comedy category rather than drama. That's deep. Jamie Foxx did his thing.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that this was his best performance in a movie?
No, I think Booty Call. No.
Oh.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, I don't think Booty Call is on our list though of Black classic movies. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Why? OMG. My daughter, a couple weeks ago, it was on the TV, and my daughter had it. You know how you have background movies sometime, and that was a background movie. And I started watching that thing again, and that is a cult classic. People love that. And I just couldn't
Yeah.
even get past his little twisties.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. But here's the thing. I was doing the
Wrapping
my
his head up
morning
in saran
motivation.
wrap.
Huh?
Remember, he wrapped his head up in saran wrap.
I was doing my motivational post this morning, right? And usually on Thursdays I do a post of whether it's singers,
Yeah.
actors, athletes, or whatever. But I do this collage
Follow
of
you.
different. Huh?
No, tell them your page so they can follow you because it's dope.
Oh, they can go to Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. It's right on that page, or they can go to JNF Enterprises on Facebook, and then on Instagram it's at Dr. LJ Speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Either one of them, and you'll see the collage. But today, since I knew we were doing Jamie Foxx, I looked up his movies. I was like, I hadn't done Jamie Foxx. I'd done a lot of people, but I hadn't done Jamie Foxx, and I was looking up the movies he's been. I'm like, dang, Jamie,
Yep,
he's got a pretty lengthy catalog
yep,
of movies. I was like,
yep,
okay. I was like, all right. I was like,
yep.
okay.
Eric Bishop.
Well,
Eric Bishop. Because you
you
know
said
that's
Eric
his
Bishop.
real name. Eric Bishop is Jamie Foxx's real name.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, and
Mhm.
yeah, because I think he said he changed it when he came to Hollywood or something like that, didn't
Yeah,
he?
when he did comedy, so he was trying to get
Yeah,
I remember him telling the story. He was trying to get on the roster. So when you're a new
right.
comedian and your name is not familiar, they just look on the list to see who wants to do it. But he noticed that all the girls were being called first. So
Okay.
he tried
Hmm.
to make his name ambiguous
Right.
so he can
Right.
get called up there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so I mean he's got to be one of the most I think one of the most talented people in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as far as being able to sing,
Mm-hmm.
act, because he could sing, act, and he could you know I don't say he didn't rap, but sing, let's say sing and act.
Mm-hmm.
um, was what he could do. And I thought that Ray was probably one of. I thought he did a. I thought his one of his might have been. He played Bundini, which was
Oh, yeah,
Ali's hype man, um, in Ali with Will Smith,
yeah.
and I thought he he embodied him as well. But here's a movie that I don't think a lot of people paid attention to that Jamie Foxx did, and I thought that he was phenomenal. And I don't know if he got a nomination for it or not, but the movie did called The Soloist. Him and
Oh,
that was
yes,
that movie was
yes.
phenomenal,
That's
and
when he
he did a
played
great.
like something was wrong. I forgot. Was it
He
autism?
he was he was a did he play the violin? Or piano. It was one of the
Yes,
two. But
yes,
he was something happened to him.
yeah,
Something happened to that person.
yeah,
But he was a master musician,
yeah,
and he was actually homeless and on the street. And
yeah.
what's his name? What's the guy? Harry. What's the guy's name? The one that plays Iron Man.
Um, um,
Something Junior.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey. Yeah, that's it. Robert Downey Jr. finds him on the street because
Yeah,
he's playing the music, playing the violin,
yeah,
and he's like trying to figure out, I think trying to figure out how to help him and everything like that.
yeah,
But I don't know if he was schizophrenic or something happened to him.
yeah,
But that was a great movie that I think goes under the radar when people talk about Jamie Foxx.
yeah,
As far as his acting, man,
yeah,
I just thought that was a phenomenal movie that people sleep on, that
yeah.
people don't talk about when they talk about Jamie Foxx. So,
They do, and I'm
um,
glad that you brought that up. Let's bring up some other movies.
uh huh,
He played Daddy Warbucks in Annie. That
yes,
revived. He did a great
yes,
job. That
yes,
Collateral movie was good. He did Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan.
yep,
He did one of my favorites, my newest favorites is when he played on Soul, Disney Pixar movie. That movie was deep. Did you see
Oh,
that?
okay. No, no, I never
With
saw. I
his
never
voice?
saw it. I never saw it.
You
Yeah, but it looked good.
you would enjoy it.
Okay.
I know you. Just the
Mm-hmm.
message behind that Solar movie,
Mm-hmm.
it's like real. It's
Is that on Netflix?
animated. It's
Is
on
that on
Disney.
Netflix?
It's on Disney, I
Oh,
think.
Disney. Okay.
It's on
Okay.
Netflix now, but just it's just an animated movie, but the story can
Yeah.
relate to you and I and whoever. It's so good. So
Now,
good.
don't get it twisted. Those Disney movies, like the Beauty and the Beast,
Mm-hmm.
Aladdin,
Mm-hmm.
those are like some of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite. I can watch. I can still to this day. I love to
Yeah.
watch those Disney movies. So
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise. And what's it called again?
Which one?
No, the movie
The
you were just talking about.
Pixar, the Pixar,
Yeah.
Disney Pixar, Soul.
So okay, so yeah,
Soul.
that movie looked, and I saw the trailer,
You gotta
and
watch
I was like, man, that looks like it's a really good movie.
the
But that's what
meaning.
Disney does.
Let me tell you something. The meaning, I already know you're gonna love it. We're
Okay,
gonna be talking about it once you see it.
okay,
You got it's powerful. And then of course, his cinematic genius and booty call. We already talked about that.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly.
but you know what was a good one? That movie Redemption.
Yes, and I didn't
That
have that on my
movie is
collage.
good
Yeah,
in that.
yeah,
That was a
yeah,
powerful
that was really
one.
good. Yeah, that was deep too, to
He
learn
played
about
Tukey
Tukey.
Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, to find out about Tukey and just the history. That taught me a lot about the history of the Bloods and Crips
Yeah.
and their original um, purpose of
Yeah.
starting them. And a lot of people don't understand that. They just
Yeah.
see the here and now of what
Yeah.
the Bloods and Crips were. But originally, they were just like the Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
They were meant to protect the neighborhoods and
Yeah.
everything like that. And it
Yeah.
morphed into, you know, this other thing. But yeah, but Redemption was definitely a great portrayal
Yeah.
of Tukey Williams
Yeah.
and his life
Yeah.
and him, and the redemption, and that was a redemption, his full circle, and how he came, the children's books that he wrote before he
Yeah.
was, executed and everything like that. And they said
Yeah.
yeah, it was a deep documentary.
Yeah.
you
It
know
was deep. So if anybody hasn't seen that, all right, definitely check that out. But Ray, so um before Ray passed, and I'm trying to remember, I think he had just passed away when he did that. I have to look to see when Ray Charles passed away. But I remember Jamie Foxx saying he was spending a lot of time with Ray Charles, and Ray Charles
hmm
wanted him to do it, and he was schooling Jamie Foxx on. And I just want to see when he passed, because I, from my memory, and it could be wrong, but I think he passed right around the time or right before it. Yeah, he
yeah, I think it
died.
was just before
He
the
died
movie.
the same year.
Was
He
it? But it
died
was before the movie though.
a little bit after, because I think the movie came out in March. When did I say
No,
August?
no, the movie came out in October.
October. Right. He died right before the movie came out. And I remember,
Mhm.
yeah, because he died in uh the release date was October and he died, I think, in June.
Okay,
So Ray
okay.
Charles never got a chance to see the
To see the whole
movie,
movie.
well, see the whole hoopla
Right
on what the movie
behind it.
did, because of course he saw it and he knew, and he was so very supportive
Yeah,
of Jamie Foxx. So we
yeah.
can talk about, so the movie starts. I mean, there's so many deep parts in this movie. And I remember seeing this movie at the movie theater. Ask me why. You know,
Why?
because the alarm for the first time never happened before, never happened afterwards. I was in the movie seeing Ray, and y'all know Ray was a long movie. We got partly through, and there was an emergency. The fire alarm went off in
Oh
AMC,
wow,
and we had to be evacuated out of the movie. So then we
wow.
got tickets to go back
Back.
and see it. So I had to go back, and it was getting good. So then I went back to see it again. But that had
hmm
never happened to me in the movies. And I just
Really?
remember that just now. and had to go back because, of course, the anticipation was off the charts. Like everybody wanted to go see this. So I
Yeah.
sat down, got my nachos, I was ready to watch. And honey, we got evacuated out the dang AMC in Owings Mills.
Wow.
But I got
Yep.
a chance to see. So it opens with Jamie Foxx as Ray when he was younger. And he really grew up pretty much on a plantation. Like he grew up super
Well, you
poor.
got to remember, Ray Charles was born in what, 19, was it 20 something or 30 something? What was his, when was he born?
Ray Charles was born, he was born in the hood, like in the country,
No,
not
that was the Deep South, though.
it was the
He was
deep
born
south. He was born September 23rd, 1930. And
1930. Yeah.
but check this out. This is the deep part that I'm just looking at that. So his childhood, he grew up in the South, very poor,
Hmm.
but he died in Beverly Hills. Ain't that something?
But
I'm just looking at that
that was the
whole
life. Even
wow.
in the movie, his mother told him that she wasn't going to have him living like they were. She wanted more for him.
Yep. It was
You
so
know, which is what every parent should want and should do for your children.
yeah,
And I say this all the time, it's every generation's responsibility to make it better
yeah,
for the next generation.
yeah,
and
yeah.
and there's a part in the movie when he goes blind, because I don't know if a lot of people know that Ray Charles wasn't born blind.
And let me read
He,
because he died. He was blinded during childhood, and it said possibly due to glaucoma. So even back then, you know how they
he
don't even know.
yeah, they didn't know what it was. Okay,
He,
okay.
but they said
Yeah.
possibly glaucoma.
And that makes sense though too. But he was so young though.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my only thing, if glaucoma is something that young people get, because glaucoma is
Yeah,
something that you would think as you get older that could
yeah.
happen to you, but not something that's
Or
a young.
yeah, or if it's preventative now, think about modern
Yeah,
medicine. Is it something
yeah,
back then that kids used to get too, but because of modern, I wonder. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. That's interesting because he went blind, but Stevie Wonder was born blind,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the difference between the two. So Stevie Wonder could never see, but Ray could see when he was little, and
Ain't
then
that
to go
something?
blind, that had to be traumatic for a little boy, you know. And even when his mother sent him to that, and it's interesting. I'd like to know how she found out about the special school to send him to.
Yes. That
You know what I'm
his
saying?
mother, let me tell you, the scenes broke my heart and I knew what she was trying to do. But
Yeah,
when that mother was
I know
allowing
what you're gonna
him,
say.
whoo, that
Yeah,
broke my heart. And when he was calling and crying for her and his
yep,
eyes welling up and she was crying and hurt, but she wanted her son to live a normal life and to be extremely independent, that
right.
she sacrificed that. And she was crying when he was trying to find his way in the kitchen, remember?
Hmm. Yep.
Whoo!
Yeah, that
That's
was
how it
deep.
opens up. Like that's part of the opening, and you get an understanding of how he was the way he was and how he was
Right,
independent and whew.
right. And that was probably one of the strongest scenes, because it shows you the 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 power of you all as women. That was, if they want to call it nurturing, as
Mm,
these folks out here want to call it today. That
mm,
was nurturing, because
woo,
she was showing him that there's going to be a time where mama's not going to be here.
mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to depend on yourself, because nobody else is going to, they're going to treat you as a cripple. And she didn't want anybody, she didn't want himself to
Mm-hmm.
treat himself as a cripple, if that makes sense. If that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
She
You
wanted him
know,
to believe that he can achieve and do and
correct.
be anything that anybody else did, and she didn't want to use his
Right.
blindness as a
Right.
handicap. That's
As a handicap or an excuse. Exactly. Exactly. And we'll get into this, but it's crazy how there's a reflection in the movie where that she didn't his mother did everything she could to prevent him from becoming a cripple and
Mm-hmm.
a dependent, and he
Mm-hmm.
became that very thing when he got hooked on
Dude,
drugs.
that's deep. Come on, Leroy. That's deep. That's
Yeah, and
deep.
it says it in the movie. He didn't.
That's
That was
deep.
the yeah, because he became dependent
That's true.
on the drug,
That's
and
true.
it took away from him
I
like
forgot
Della
about
B.
that part. That's true.
Yeah, and Della B tells him, there's a part in the movie where Kerry Washington's character Della B, she
Mm-hmm.
tells him, she said, if you're not, and I know I'm jumping all over the place, we'll
That's all
get
right.
there,
That's how we do.
but she said they're gonna take the one thing away from you
Yeah,
that you love.
that's right.
And she said your music. She said you love that that drug is going to take away from you everything that you've worked your life for. I was like, I was like, she hit him dead in between the eyes with that one,
It was so
because
many.
he loved his music. That was how he made his living, and that was the thing that he was a genius at.
A genius.
I
Yep.
mean, and we'll talk about the soundtrack, but I love me some Ray Charles. I ain't gonna lie, that soundtrack is one of my
And
favorite soundtracks, man.
I have to listen to the whole soundtrack. I know in the movie, but I haven't heard the just I
Really?
heard
Oh
the
my God,
soundtrack
I got the
just in the movie.
CD. I
Oh,
got the
I know
CD.
that's good. The
Yeah.
first time I was ever introduced to Ray Charles was as a kid on the Cosby Show.
Oh yeah. Yep. And that song is on here.
Yeah.
Um. What's the name of
Modern
the
days.
song?
They did modern days. Baby. I said, baby. Remember Rudy?
Yeah, but no, I'm trying to think of the title of that song. Mm. Oh, and I got it written down here.
Let's see. Let's see.
The Right Time. It's the
Yeah,
Right
the
Time.
right
That's the
time.
name of The Right Time.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it's called. And
Yeah.
that was the first time I was really
Really.
introduced. Ray
Yeah.
Rudy was like,
Yeah.
"Baby,
His. I
my
mean,
day."
it,
That was classic.
I'm gonna say this too, and I know we'll get into the soundtrack, but he's one of only three artists that I can think of that kind of crossed before anybody else did. He crosses different genres of music.
Yeah,
His music was country, R
yeah,
and B, gospel. Him, and I always think about this. Him, he started it. Lionel Richie is another one,
mm-hmm,
and Brian McKnight.
mm-hmm.
Those are
Oh, okay,
three
yeah,
artists. Their music was intertwined with the different genres, which I
yeah,
thought was masterful. You
yeah,
know, and people want to talk about Diddy and the fusion of R&B and
mm,
hip hop. They talk about Kirk Franklin with the
yeah,
fusion of gospel and hip hop. But
yeah,
before them, Ray Charles was doing it. He took that
yeah.
gospel song, "I Got a Woman," way
Down,
over there.
down. And that's from, and how about I ain't saying she a gold digger, and Jamie
That's
Foxx
but
was on
that's
that.
that song. Yeah,
Yep,
that's that
that's that
song that
song.
came. That's the song
That's
that's
the
what they
song.
sampled. That's what Kanye West sampled to come out
That's
of there.
the song. Yep.
But he was, and people may not know this real quick before you move on. Ray Charles isn't his full name is Ray Charles Robinson,
Yeah.
and they couldn't
Yeah.
use Ray. They couldn't use Ray Robinson because of
It's a
Sugar Ray
boxer.
Robinson.
It's a boxer. Ain't that something? Because of the
So
boxer.
the dude was like, "No, we got to come up with something different," you
Yeah.
know. And that's where they shortened the name. They just called him Ray Charles.
Ray Charles.
So,
I'm looking at this as we
uh-huh.
so where I started listening to him on my own outside of the Cosby Show is in the 80s when Quincy Jones did Back on the Block.
Okay.
Remember that album
Okay.
was Secret Gardens,
Woo.
and then he
Yes.
did the song "I'll Be Good to You." And I remember Ray Charles was in the video, and he was sitting on and he was doing his little thing. But that's the one with Ray Charles, Quincy Jones, and Shaka Khan. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could play it, but I can't. But legend in that and outside of our boy, um, um, our outside of our boy, Why can't I think of it? I just went and we talk about him all the time, and I can't even think of our boy.
I'm trying to think of who you talking about. Who you thinking about, rather?
I don't got problems. I got friends.
Oh, Clarence Avon.
I don't know why. I just had a brain freeze.
Yeah,
Our boy
yeah,
Clarence Avon.
yeah,
So we know that him and Quincy Jones were best friends for years, but Quincy Jones and Ray Charles, they were best friends since they were children.
yeah.
Uh,
Because
Quincy
Quincy was
Jones,
younger than Quincy
right,
Jones was young, was a little younger
right,
than Ray Charles.
right. And he said that Ray Charles introduced him to heroin when he was only 15 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was adding that Malcolm X was their dealer. Ain't that something?
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
That's what, yep, yep.
Wow.
Ain't that
You
deep?
blew
And
me
that's
away with that one.
ain't that
Yeah.
some historic people in there? That's deep.
Wow. That's real
That's
deep right
deep.
there.
That's real deep. I was like, whoa, what?
What?
I know. And
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
People
and it
forget. People forget Malcolm wasn't always Malcolm X. You know what I'm
no,
saying?
no. But then it's Ray Charles and think about this. Ray Charles and Quincy Jones had been performing together since the 40s, the
Yep.
1940s. That's before my mother was alive and
Yep.
my father.
Yep.
So imagine you
Yep.
perform. So, and I just think about, and we're not talking about Quincy Jones, but I just think about all the great friends he's lost.
Yeah.
Think about it. From
Yep.
Michael Jackson to him to just when I think about all of that, and I think about Clarence Avant and their friendship, and even in Clarence's documentary, and I think about that and how it's so cool to see, somebody, two old men talking about the
Yeah.
old
That was so
days and
cool
that the
to see
love
them
that
like
they
that.
still
Yeah.
have for each other. Like that was it just warmed my heart to me.
Yeah, yeah, it's not, and it's nothing like that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna tell you, to have a friendship that lasts that long,
yeah,
because you and I both know that there's not a lot of people that you have in your life that
yeah,
you've known since
yeah,
you were younger, since your
yeah,
childhood,
yeah,
and everything like that. So when you have that kind of long lasting friendship, long
yeah,
lasting relationships like that, man, you count it a blessing that you're able to grow old together like
yes,
that. You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes.
So,
And it's just
um,
so dope. And talking about Jamie Foxx, he was in Clarence Avant's documentary and he
yep,
was talking about him and Q's relationship and how they're brethren. He was talking about how, it was so cool. But I want to talk about let me just read some trivia about the movie. So we talked about this, but Ray Charles died of liver failure June 10th, 2004, after filming had ended. He was able to sit through the first edit of the movie before his death. Um, Jamie Foxx had to wear prosthesis made partly of silicone that really did not help, didn't make him blind. Well, that really did, excuse me, make him blind for up to 14 hours a day during
yep.
shooting.
And they
Now,
said he wore 'em.
commitment. They said he wore them to try to feel like what it would
Yep.
like, what would it be like just to be blind and to be Ray Charles? That's commitment. That's method acting for your, you know what? Like, good
Yeah.
grief. Can you
And that's being committed to your craft,
for
and
real?
him wanting to bring the authenticity to the role and who Ray Charles was,
Deep.
because that's I mean, and like you said, the method acting to understanding what that entails. 14 hours of your
That's
day,
deep. That's deep.
your eyes are closed and you
That's
have to
deep.
be able to figure out how to get around.
So he was trying to embody Ray
Yeah.
Charles for
Yeah,
sure.
now imagine that. Think about that. Now, Jamie Foxx could take the things off after 14 hours, but Ray Charles
Mhm.
could never
That's deep.
take it off.
Yeah.
But one of my funniest parts in the movie, and I always laugh when I think about it, when Ray Charles is cooking in the kitchen and he got the light off, Him
Oh,
and Quincy Jones in the kitchen with the light on, and he frying chicken.
I forgot about that because it's so mad at him. The lights is
Right.
always on.
So, right. So the woman
Deep.
comes in and she's like, Ray, what I tell you about cooking in the dark? He's like just what you just said. It don't matter. What it matter? I can't tell.
I forgot about that part.
And Ray was like, what difference do it make? I don't know if the light is on or off. But he was frying chicken. That's what his to me, that's what his mother had instilled in him.
Right, right.
That
We'd be all
that he was
popped up.
going to
We'd be
do
all
those.
greased up. If we try to do that, we'd be all popped in the face
You
with the
know what I'm
grease.
saying? But he in one of those cast iron skillets, he frying chicken. I'm like, Ray Charles is frying chicken.
In the
I was
dark.
in the
Oh,
dark.
gee, we couldn't. Some people can't even fry chicken in the light, and they can see real good.
Hello. So I was just like, I'm like,
This
man,
chicken
this.
was probably good too.
You know what I'm saying? So I thought that showed to me, that just showed his, how he lived his life
Yeah,
like his mother wanted him to. He could cook his food. He would do things that would give him the sight. And my grandfather on my father's side was blind.
mm-mm.
My dad, we called him dad, and he was blind, and he would, he got around, and everything like that. So to see Ray Charles get around the way that he did, and they said that when you lose a sense, one of your senses, the
Again,
other ones kind of get enhanced.
yeah,
So he could hear a little more. He could hear a little better. He could, things. He would do stuff that would feel, that would give him an extra. All of those extra things that
yeah,
he had, that
yeah,
that and that helped him to be able to,
yeah,
to be able to live his life just like a regular person,
yeah.
you know. And the crazy thing was, he didn't walk around with a cane. Now my granddad did.
That's
He walked
deep.
around with a cane,
Yeah,
but Ray Charles didn't walk around with a cane.
yeah.
I was like,
He,
that is
he knew.
phenomenal.
That is phenomenal that he did not walk, because they say they even have to train people how to walk around with those canes.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
they have to. It's a class. Somebody, I was hearing something. Somebody was blind. And they were talking about that they have to do the class to even learn how to be able to tell like the curb
Right.
and I never even thought about that. When I heard that, I was like, I guess that's about right. Like,
Yeah.
how would you just know? But you're right. He didn't walk around with a cane at all. Like, his
No.
mother really blessed his soul.
Yeah.
She really
Yeah.
did. And that's difficult when you have a little boy and he's calling, crying, I need your help.
Right.
And she's like, I'm not going to always be there. I want to teach you to be self sufficient and
Right.
don't look at your blindness as a handicap or disability.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have been able to fry that chicken if it wasn't for his mom.
Yeah.
Like, he
Yeah.
just wouldn't have. If she would have coddled him and did everything for him when he went on his own, he would
Right.
be lost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and he even knew how to tell if a woman was fine or not and skinny.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Ray, I'm
I
telling
wonder
you,
what he would say to my wrist. I wonder.
between between Ray Charles and Biggie, I lie to you not. And I'm trying to think. There might be one more that I was trying to think of. When I watched their stories, I was like, Biggie was a
He was
was
a
a was a
player.
was a
He was a
was a
player.
player.
They
Yeah,
said
I was
he was
like,
charismatic. That's how us
yeah.
Geminis, that's how we do.
And I mean, and the thing was, it was Biggie's personality. That was
Mhm.
just his personality coming out. Same thing with Ray. I think he and we gonna go back to this though, but Ray, that, like you said, he would determine how the woman looked by the size of her wrist. If she
And
was a
knew if
heavy
he was skin. That's deep.
if she was heavy set and the wrist was bigger, you know, he would think that she was big and that she wasn't very attractive. Or I think he would ask somebody that was like his wingman or whatever what she looked like, you know. But if they were big, if their wrists were thick, then he really wouldn't mess with them too much.
I
Um,
wonder if I got. Well,
nah,
I
your
usually,
wrist
I
ain't thick.
usually need
Wrist
to
ain't.
take
He done
out.
tried to holler at you. Stop playing. He done tried to holler at you.
I
Stop playing.
usually got to take out a link and a watch. So I guess I would have been. I'd have been.
But but the other funny part of the movie
Man, that Ray
was
Charles is
when
something else.
the woman that was in the club, that owned the club, that put him on first. That was the first
Oh
one to put him
yeah,
on.
yeah.
She was like, "Don't worry about finding a place for him to stay."
How you? How was he pulling the women? He was pulling the women.
He
He
really
was
was.
pulling women, and then he had nice looking women. So I guess that wrist trick works.
Yes, but here's the thing. Before I go back to the
Man,
woman that
that Ray
owned the
Charles
club,
is something else.
the the other dudes that were part of the band, they were jealous of him
Yep,
because he was getting the women.
yep.
And but but back to the woman that owned the club, and she told Terrence Howard's character, um, what was his name? Gussie. Told Gussie, don't worry about finding a place for him to stay. He can stay with me. And all Gussie did was smile and laugh because he knew what was coming.
He already knew what was up. He
He
already
knew what was up. And every chance she had, Ray had to give it up. And he was like, I'm tired. She was like, Ray, come on and get some more of this blueberry, this blackberry pie. And then when he told Terrence Howard, he was like, I gotta find another Gussie. He was like, I gotta find another place. He started laughing. He was like, yeah, okay. He was like, don't mess it up yet though.
But how fun do you think that set was on Ray?
Ooh,
Like
I know that had to be a
because
great man. Can
because
you
think about
imagine?
the humor, but then think about even laughing at the parts that we're laughing at on Ray and
Right.
them like having fun and then talking and laughing at like Ray was a wild boy.
Wild boy. Ray was a wild boy. You know?
Little
But that had to be a fun set to
yeah,
to actually be on.
yeah,
And especially when you're playing somebody's real life like that,
yeah,
and you're bringing it to life,
yeah,
you know, you got to think that had to be, and like we said, just learning the story
yeah,
of
yeah,
of Ray Charles,
yeah,
and who he was, and everything like that.
yeah.
So yeah, Ray in his younger years when he was, and if you look at the pictures of him, when he was younger,
Mhm.
he was an attractive dude. He was,
Yeah,
he was a good
yeah,
look. Ray Charles
yeah,
was a good looking dude. So
yeah.
he wasn't, it wasn't like he was ugly. And we were talking about him being able to get the women. That was why. 'Cause hey,
Right,
they ain't care if
right.
he was blonde.
I'm
You know what
pulling.
I'm
I'm
saying?
trying to pull up some to see because he had them. He had a mean pair of shades on too.
Right,
His
right.
shades. Let's
You
see.
know.
I'm trying to
So
pull up.
that younger Ray, yeah. See that?
He
Yeah, that's a good picture. That was a good
look
picture of him.
cooler than a fan, don't he? Look at him.
Tony.
He look cooler than a fan. Like, don't play with me.
Yep. And you throw on top of that his talent, being able to play the
Mm-hmm.
piano and
Mm-hmm.
write music.
Yep.
Yeah, women was loving him. Yes, sir.
Man.
Indeed.
And speaking of the piano, Jamie Foxx played the piano in all the scenes himself.
Yep.
We already know he's a
Yeah.
brilliant pianist.
But
Jamie Foxx also attended classes at the Braille Institute in order to help him play the role of Ray Charles.
oh
He
wow,
was
wow,
playing the
wow.
game. So not only did he wear prosthetics in his eyes to make him blind for 14 hours a day, he also attended Braille school so he can understand. No studio was interested in backing the movie. After it
Really?
was shot independently, Universal Pictures stepped in. Now, after all the work is done, we spend the money. Then they wanted to distribute it. Part of the reason Universal released it was because of the executives used to hitchhike to Ray Charles concerts. So they had a personal connection to Ray Charles, and that's why they did it. All the singing was the voice of Ray Charles, despite Jamie Foxx's uncanny impersonation. So they're saying that all of singing was Ray Charles, even though
Yeah.
Jamie could do it well. But of course, you're going to use Ray Charles, especially if Ray Charles blessed it to. And sometimes
Correct.
when it's unauthorized, that's when you can't get, like you got when Angela Bassett directed like the Whitney Houston movie with Yaya. They
Okay.
had to use Deborah Cox's voice to
Oh,
sing all the Houston songs because it was kind of unauthorized. And I'm so mad at the Bobby that they chose. He didn't look like Bobby at all. It was just Yaya looked like Whitney. But that Bobby they had with that fake rug on his head, it was just a mess. But
really? Mm.
I digress. What else did I want to say? Oh, Jamie Foxx studied Ray Charles to better mimic him. After weeks, he stopped visiting Charles, saying that the 73-year-old Ray Charles couldn't help him portray the same man ages 19 to 49. So he was 73 at that time, so he could not Jamie didn't meet him when he was younger. So he said he stopped going to see him because he couldn't get what he needed, which makes sense. And
Right.
that's deep. He played him from 19 years old to 49 years old
Yeah. Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
movie. So
But I tell you,
yeah,
that had to be something for Jamie Foxx to be able to play
yeah,
with Ray Charles, to
yeah,
play the piano with Ray Charles, to get, now I'm sure he could probably get that aspect
yeah,
from
for
him,
sure.
but
For
to
sure.
grab the character, the personality of who Ray Charles was, like you said, in that age range of 19 to
49.
49.
That's a
Yeah,
big age range.
yeah, yeah.
So, although Ray Charles successfully overcame a heroin addiction, he drank heavily and smoked marijuana for the rest of his life.
Did it? Chiba
Jamie
Chiba,
Foxx,
y'all.
yeah, Jamie Foxx relied on old cassettes that Quincy Jones gave him to prepare for the portrayal of
Oh wow.
Ray
Oh
Charles.
cool. Okay.
So that is cool, and they, them being besties. I'm sure he had a whole lot, and I'm
Whole
sure
lot of stuff.
he was
Yeah,
saying, he ain't do it like this. This is how old Ray back in the day. Can you imagine the conversation Quincy Jones was having with
I
Jamie Foxx?
know, right?
He drug his leg like this, so he had his hat like this. That's just amazing when you can have those personal
Yeah,
people who knew him saying this
absolutely.
is how he would do it. It's good, but Ray ain't move his lips like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's deep when you think about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Upon winning the Academy Award in 2005, which Jamie Foxx did, we can't not talk about that. Jamie Foxx became the first actor to win Best Actor for a performance in a musical since Sir Rex Harrison in My Fair Lady in 1964, as well as the first actor to win the award for musical biography movie based on the life of a musical legend since James Cagney for Yankee Doodle Dandy in 1942. Jamie
Wow.
Foxx, I know, right? So you went all the way from 2004-5 from 1942. Jamie Foxx remarked that it was a demanding role, obviously. He barely slept. His day would begin early in the morning filming for long hours, and he'd go home to stay up late practicing the piano. That must have
Yeah.
been a really, when you think of that, must have just took everything out of him.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx, that's deep. Ray Charles was diagnosed with hepatitis C during filming. He confided to his friends that he had known he was not going to live that long, and he would have to take better care of himself.
Mhm.
You were talking about Della B. So let's talk about her. Della B was Ray Charles' second wife. He married Eileen Williams in 1951. They had one child and divorced in 1952. So this was the first African American biopic nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including the Best Actor and Best Picture. That's
Yeah.
crazy. This is the first African American one. Um, when Ray Charles plays "I Got a Woman Way Over Town" to Della B for the first time, she objects to it because it's a gospel song. She was referring to what she was referring to. It must be Jesus. So I guess that was a play off of a gospel song. I have to check that out. Denzel Washington, you already know, was first to approach to play the title role, but he passed on the project. He should have
Yeah.
passed. I love
Yeah.
Denzel. We love Denzel here on More Than Just a Movie, but that was Jamie Foxx's all day.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
and you needed and you got to think about it, you needed a younger looking
yeah,
individual because
yeah,
behind between 19 and
yeah,
49, I mean, there's the no dis we know Denzel could have played the role as far
yeah,
as you know
yeah.
as encompassing Ray Charles, but he didn't have the. I mean, Jamie almost checked all the boxes because he played
All
the
the
piano
boxes.
because
Yep,
he could sing, and I think he, to me, I think he showed, and I remember them, I guess, in the interviewing with him, I guess during that cycle when he was talking about the when he was on set with Will Smith in
mm-hmm,
Ali,
mm-hmm,
and he was talking about having the commitment
mm-hmm,
to a role,
mm-hmm,
and because of that conversation, I think that he had with Will,
mm-hmm,
he understood what it was going to take to commit to
mm-hmm.
doing a Ray,
Yeah, yeah,
and he had a couple people that was in his ear,
yeah.
you know, because they, I mean, I think, and I don't know if Jamie said it or whatever, but there's a couple people saying he kind of got the big head when he was up for all of those nominations,
Oh, Jamie did?
and yeah, and because they said Oprah had to pull his coattail, like
Mm,
come here, let me talk to you, and she introduced him to Sidney Poitier
mm. And he
to
humbled his butt right out.
to yeah to talk with him about the importance of the him winning the Oscar that during that cycle,
Yeah,
doing the run of, you know, when
yeah,
up to leading up to the Oscars,
yeah,
and how you didn't want to do anything to mess up your
yeah,
nomination,
yeah,
you know, and all of those things. And she said, I think she introduced him to Sidney Poitier and a couple other people at her house. Of course, I think she had some kind of party or whatever,
of course she did.
and she had invited Jamie Foxx,
Yeah,
you know, because you know she knew that he was up for that Oscar role for
yeah,
Ray, and
yeah,
they didn't want him to mess it up. They didn't want to mess up his chance and everything like that. So I thought it was interesting to see, to hear
yeah,
that, and them talk about it,
yeah,
and everything, because it was such an important role,
yeah,
and it was a powerful role,
yeah,
you know. And he was, you got to think, before he won his Oscar, I think it was only Denzel. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was only Denzel and Halle Berry and Whoopi
mm-hmm,
that were
yeah,
the three Oscar winners.
yeah,
So him coming along and running that gamut, because usually I think the, what is it, the Golden Globes leads up to the Oscars,
yeah,
and I think usually whoever wins that Golden Globe,
hmm,
they're usually kind of right there for winning the Oscar,
yeah. That's what they
which
say.
is
'Cause that's even with Will Smith, how he was.
right.
They say, yep, if they're on that train
Yeah,
already winning those other ones, then they probably are going to
right.
win. And they were saying that even with King Richard. And we did
Correct.
do that movie, by the way. I meant to tell you, we did do King Richard.
Okay.
Remember we
Mhm.
talked about that?
Uh-huh.
So
Mhm.
you guys have to check that out. We did, and that was well, that wasn't a music movie, it was a biopic. Never mind, but you can check that out. We did do
Yeah.
that because I know you asked, you were like, I think we did that, and you were right.
Yeah.
We did do that. This
Yeah.
is season 3. We've done so many movies. Sometimes
I know,
Leroy
right?
and I forget. We'd be like, did we do that? I'd be
I know,
like,
right?
yeah. I'd be like, Leroy, did we do that? He'd be like, yeah. It's so many that we've
Yeah.
done. Because we're never gonna run out of movies. We're just
Yeah.
not.
And you know, but seeing with Jamie Foxx playing Ray, he just he took, I think he took his acting to another level.
Yeah,
He came out of, I think even with doing Ali, even before he got to Ray, he had taken away the comedian
yeah,
of being the comedian Jamie
yeah,
Foxx
yeah,
to being the actor
yeah.
Jamie
Let's talk
Foxx.
about that. How
Mhm.
he really, the buffoonery of
Yeah,
Booty Call
Wanda.
and Wanda on Living in Living Color and all of the what he did, Wanda and all of that to really transition to into like you talked about the soloist
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Ray and how he turned into a serious actor. Just like when they's like, yeah, you want to be a singer, you're an actor, but he really came to
right,
Hollywood to be a singer. That's what he
right,
came for. But
right.
then, comedy took off because some people are just naturally funny, and he's that. even telling the story. So he ended up doing that. So then when he went to go do comedy or in movies, they were like, you a singer, you ain't no, I mean,
Right.
you're an actor. So he was trying to, so then he went back to that, almost like Eddie Murphy would party all the time. But Jamie's was more, I think, taken more serious when that Unpredictable came out.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that was
Absolutely. No,
damn, because
Jamie
he,
can sing.
yeah,
Eddie can't sing. Eddie
and
can't sing.
also
Also.
and then remember when he wrote the song for Fancy on the Jamie Foxx
Yeah.
show and how
Mm-hmm.
he would do the jingle so you can hear. So he was able to incorporate that singing in that. So we knew that he could sing. But then nobody knew that he was a dramatic actor
Actor. Mm-hmm.
until he started doing these movies. So who would have thought Wanda from In Living Color would be able to pull this biopic off
And
of
see,
this? It's deep.
that's the thing about it, because you think about In Living Color, he was on that show
Mhm,
for I don't know how many, 1 or 2 seasons, or whatever. But then he goes to having his own, uh, what do you call it, comedy show,
mhm,
and doing that, and that was successful too. To
mhm,
trying to get people to take him seriously
mhm,
as an actor.
mhm.
And like you said, because we know how finicky Hollywood is. If
Yeah,
they typecast you,
yeah,
they say you can only do these types of roles, and he was able to me break that barrier that
yeah,
very few
yeah,
in Hollywood, I think,
yeah,
are successful at doing.
yeah.
And like I said, he could sing and he could act.
He's
He was
multi-talented.
very talented at
Yeah,
both of them.
yeah, yeah.
You know, very talented at both of them.
Oh,
So, uh,
and now
so
we know
him,
that he can do comedic acting, and now we know that he can do.
right,
We already know he can mimic people, and he's just good at
right,
that. But he
right.
showed himself as not just a comedic actor, and I think even though he did movies before this, I think this is when people were like, okay, Jamie ain't to be played with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He had some serious, and he's had, like you said, when I looked at I was looking at the different movies. I was like, Don, Jamie, you got a pretty deep catalog
Yeah.
of
And it's
movies
a
that
variety.
he's
It's
done.
not even like one, it's
Yeah,
not like black cinema, it's not just comedies, it's not just
nah,
like it's a
yeah,
plethora.
yeah. I mean, you talk about being in a movie with Tom Cruise. That's
That was
huge.
a good one, that
Al
Collateral.
Al Pacino on Any Given Sunday.
And LL. That's
Yeah,
when they that's when
yeah,
they had
yeah.
that. Remember that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think you want to say LL around Jamie though.
That was deep because LL said Jamie was playing too much and he wasn't for all that. He wasn't
He
for
wasn't
all
for
that.
all that,
He know how to
man. You
he ain't
better
know how to stop going.
Leave them New York fellas alone.
He wasn't for that.
Jamie didn't know.
L was
He
out
from
of Jamaica, Queens. He wasn't for all that foolishness. He came to
Now,
work
no
and
sir.
Jamie was playing too much.
Yep, yep. And he was Jamie was from Texas. He didn't know. East Coast
He didn't
fellas,
know,
we ain't having it.
but he found out.
Well, he found out, didn't
He
he?
found out. But then
Yeah, but
even in that breaking all the rules, I remember that was with Gabrielle Union. I remember
yeah,
that. So
yeah,
he did like his black movies, he did his serious movies, he did his mainstream movies, he did his, of course, he was in Players Club, and he did so many different movies, even Miami Vice. And then when you look at his catalog, it's just like you
yeah,
said, it's just so, it's such a mixed bag.
yeah,
It really is.
yeah.
So we know with Black Hollywood that everybody is intertwined. It seems like, because we
Mhm.
have Jamie Foxx, or so for instance, Lorenz Tate, who was in this movie, Clifton Powell, who was in this movie, Terrence Howard, and Bokeem Woodbine. They all appeared in the movie Dead Presidents, and they were all in this movie. Clifton Powell and Regina King, they were in the Friday franchises together. And you just think about the cast includes 2 Oscar winners, Jamie Foxx, Regina King, 2 nominees, Anjanou Ellis and Terrence Howard. And that Anjanou Ellis, man, we see her later playing man, I don't even know which one to say first. And King Richard playing
Yep.
Serena's mom. But then we seen her playing Maddie Moss Clark. She blew that thing out the window. The
What
Clark
movie was that?
sisters, Maddie
Oh
Moss,
yes, 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 yes,
man.
absolutely. Yeah,
And she
yeah.
did that portrayal too. This is when she had enough. Remember, she was seeing Ray, and then Ray was married. And you remember, she probably remembered in that back alley, and when she was leaving,
Well, we see,
she
like we
played,
said,
man,
Ray was a player,
was a player,
and we got to talk about
Albany, Georgia.
we got to talk about that too. We got to talk about and I've noticed this in each of the movies that has been done about these talented musicians and talented folks.
Mm,
Whether it was the New Edition movie, which we're going to do later, we're going to do next. Whether it was Ray, whether it was Biggie, they had these dual lives. And Della B, which is Kerry Washington's character, which becomes, you said it was Ray's second wife. I didn't
mm-hmm.
realize that. They didn't touch on that in
Yeah,
the movie,
no.
that it was a second wife.
She probably was like,
But
"Don't put me in y'all dang movie.
I know, right?
Don't be
But
talking about me."
right, but she tells him in the movie, Della B says, "Look, I know you're a musician. I
Mm,
know you do what you do on the road,
let's talk about that.
and I'm gonna leave it right there. Just don't bring." And she said this, which I believe that a lot of women to this day say that.
To my front door.
Just don't bring the road into my house.
Mm-hmm.
And these men, and with the recent activities of the coach of the Boston Celtics, and I'm not even going to get into all of that because I don't want to bring his fiance's name up, but bringing the road or bringing the work, bringing your work into the home.
I know you
And
was mad because you love her. I know you was mad.
she in my top five. That's my
I
baby.
know.
That's my
You know
baby
I
right there. I'm like, how you like? But see, one of the things that I do agree with that I've heard a couple people say is you don't know what the dynamics
no.
of that relationship was
Yeah.
because I'm sorry, could you be engaged? And what's the longest you would be engaged
I
to
know they've been
someone?
engaged for a good 15 years.
5 years.
But they was together even longer than that.
Correct, correct.
They
Because you got to remember, they've
for
got a son. Their
yeah,
son is 10 years old.
yeah, they've been together for years.
Yeah.
Years.
So that says something, and it made me think. It's like, okay, so they said, and I don't know, and they played this clip that she did some years ago, saying that she doesn't know if she wanted to get married, and I'm like, okay, so if that is true or were true, and that was it might not have been him holding up them getting married, it could have been her.
For sure. And people never think about that. It could be the woman that don't want to get
That
married.
says, "Hey, I don't want to get. I'm not ready yet. Give me some time."
Mm-hmm. People
And he's
always
like,
assume
"Okay,
man.
take all the time you
Yeah,
need.
yeah.
And while you figuring that out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be over here
Mm-hmm.
dipping and dabbing."
And doing it.
And right, and then that dipping and dabbing blows up in your face,
Mm-hmm.
just like with Ray. It blew up in his face. And I tell people this. I don't get. I truly believe this. People can get into these extramarital relationships and whatever. I said, but somebody is gonna catch feelings.
Somebody
Somebody,
definitely going to catch feelings.
somebody gonna catch feelings. I don't care which one, but somebody's gonna
Yeah,
catch feelings because
yeah,
you can't tell me that you
yeah,
continuously sleep with somebody
yeah,
and that doesn't take its toll on
yeah,
one of the two.
yeah,
It's gonna catch somebody.
yeah.
And when as my boy Isaiah Washington said in our movie, when he said what that Love Jones can be a
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Think about her fiance. He ain't been with the Celtics that long.
not even a year. His first year there.
and how it got out, they say is her husband. Did you hear how it got out? The ladies
Yeah, and
on the ring
right.
camera outside. That's
Yeah,
deep.
I've heard that, and I'm waiting to hear because you get you get all kinds of stories and stuff like that that come out about how things happen, and I'm like, if that is true and all, I'm like, y'all a bunch of idiots. but but those are the things that
He
people
on the
don't
phone
think
like,
about.
"You home? I'm home now. My husband ain't gonna catch me now." She probably was right at the door, all because you know when you in love, you all up
Yeah,
here.
you ain't thinking about
You
nothing. But and that's the thing. Even with Ray, with him getting involved with my girl Marianne, when he got involved with Marianne, um or actually it was Marianne, then it was Margie.
which one
Because
was Angelou? Which
Regina
one?
King, Regina King's character,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah, 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 yeah.
because
I couldn't think of her name.
Margie got pissed. Margie was upset. She was upset, but
But
Marianne
again,
got mad.
but
But Marianne got mad because Ray was to moving on to Margie.
wait, Marianne was
So
Angelou Ellis, right? Was
correct.
she okay?
Remember, yeah, because he brought her on as one of the singers, and remember when they had the scene with her and
And
Regina
they looking
King,
at
because they
each
was
other.
like, well, can you sing? Can you sing this part? And Regina King's character, Margie, she was like, well, I can sing any part, and Marianne says, well, you ain't talking about hog, sing hog, whatever. They was catty,
But
but
think about that. That's meeting women at work, like who you just
yeah,
talked about.
and that can
That's
and
when
that
you're
happens.
constantly. But think about Temptations. Remember
Yep,
when
that
Otis
that was another one,
Newport's
right?
wife?
Correct. Correct. And we can talk about it because the workplace, that's real. That's real.
Hmm.
I ain't gonna tell you how I know, but that's real. That, that's real.
Woo! I
So
got caught
if
slipping once or two. I got caught slipping once too.
if you do it, you better be very careful
Hmm.
of the person that you choose
Hmm.
because it can blow up in your face real quick,
Hmm.
especially if somebody catch feelings.
Back in the day, I remember I dated at work and we had a serious relationship, but we were only at the same job maybe like a month in totally two different departments. And we were there probably
Uh-huh.
like a month. And then that was it. And then I
Yeah.
can't remember if I left first or he left first. And that was 20 years ago. But
Hmm.
I think about that. And yeah, it's easy if you're around somebody or see somebody.
Right.
But then, ooh, if you're married, that's sticky.
That is
Sticky.
very,
Because think about if
very.
the spouse finds out and they come up to the job, you done lost your marriage and the job.
Yeah, but and see the thing of it with like in this predicament with Ray, they already knew that he was married
And don't care
and did not care.
because they thought
And
they were
even
the wives on the road.
right, and that was even the part of the movie where Margie, which is Regina King's character, she calls him at his house and he's like,
Ain't
"Look,
that
why
crazy?
are you calling me here at my house?" She was like, but I'm Mrs. Ray on the road.
That's bold and deep, ain't that?
But
Ain't
I
that
mean,
deep?
but like he said too, he told her when they got into that
And he
argument,
wasn't
and
gonna.
when she told him, yeah, when she told him she was pregnant, he was like, "You knew what this was. There was there
That's
was no
woo,
there was no guessing about it. You knew what it was, and it
woo.
is what it is. Don't try and change the game now or the rules now." And a lot of people will do that. And
Yeah,
like I
because
told you,
like you
when
said, they catching feelings.
they catch somebody's gonna catch feelings. Margie caught feelings, and even Margie, Marianne, and I told you, well, our conversation earlier, that was part of one of the things where my father met the woman I was telling you about on the job. They catch feelings.
Ooh,
Somebody's gonna catch
and they
feelings.
do what you said they did before the show started. That's really catching some feelings.
Right.
And if y'all
But
know
that's
what we talk about,
Yeah,
Lord.
don't mind us, y'all. We just having a private moment, y'all. Don't We were just having a private moment in front of y'all. But 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 when somebody catches feelings, Those are the kinds of things that happen. You get stalkers. I had when I was working on one of my jobs, the young lady that was our she was our assistant controller, and she and I were friends, and she had been married. She was married, and um she had gotten divorced, and I think she was seeing this dude, and I want to say that he was working there. He worked in another department or whatever, something like that. But he started stalking her,
I believe it.
and so you got to be very, very careful when you if
Say
you're
you don't
going
poop
to,
where you eat.
huh?
They say you don't poop where you eat.
Yeah, but people are gonna do that. I mean, let's
Because
just
think
be
about
real.
it. You're at work most of the time.
It's the most you
And if
spend
you're
more
working with
hours, right?
somebody,
Right. You spend more hours at work than you do at home.
mm-hmm,
Think about it. You spend at least 10,
mm-hmm,
8 to 10 hours. Some folks even 10 to 14 hours
mm-hmm,
a day
mm-hmm,
at work with
mm-hmm,
around the same folks every single day.
mm-hmm.
And if there's somebody that you got chemistry with, that you kind of
Because people be saying work husbands and work
right.
wives.
Mhm. Yeah, and
But
you get this vibe, and it can roll into something.
yeah,
But like I said, if you're not careful with the person that you get involved with, it can turn ugly.
it can turn
I
real ugly. And think
i.e.
about how bold,
Mur- Marianne with
how
Jasmine
bold
Sullivan on
right.
them.
But how bold is that? But think about how gangster Ray Charles talking about, you know what it was. You knew it wasn't like that. You know, I got my wife at home. Like,
Mhm.
that's really how people be saying. And these women will be accepting it until they can't.
Yeah.
So then
Oh,
they
and
listen.
even when Ray was in the bed with Marianne and Clifton Powell, Jeff knocks on the door and is like, phone. He's like, well, who is it? He's like, it's Della B.
Yeah,
He was like, tell her tell her I'm busy. Tell her I'll call her back. He was like, no, I'm not lying to Della B.
right. That's right. She the one. I'm not lying because you here with
I
this.
ain't lying to her.
Now
And
to
I really
me, that's
liked,
a good friend. That's a
yeah,
good friend.
yeah. He's like, no, you need to get this straight. I'm
Yeah,
not lying to her. I'm not gonna cover for you for that. And Jeff was his boy through and through. And I was hurt when he did fire him
oh,
because
that
of
was
uh uh Joe Adams, which was Harry Lennox, his
yeah,
character.
that
He
was deep.
comes in and totally, I don't say backstabs him, but he kind of hedges his way
That was hurtful.
into being Ray's manager.
That was hurtful.
And here he was, yeah, it was hurtful. And here it was, Jeff been with him since day one,
Hmm.
driving being the bus driver.
How many times that happened though? Somebody that's with you in the dirt, in the ground, in the
Right,
beginning, and then
right.
some slick talking. It even happened on Dreamgirls. Think about that.
Yep, yep,
Jamie
yep,
Foxx again.
yep, yep. And I forgot about Dreamgirls. He was in that too.
Mm-hmm. And he was a slickster in that.
Yeah.
Remember, he was real
So
slick. He swiveled his way in there and did the same thing, like the
hmm
backstabbing kind of thing. And remember, because Danny Glover's character, remember what he did to him?
yep.
It's the
hmm
same kind
Yep.
of similar thing. Like somebody that's really riding with you, and then a slickster comes in to try to get a piece of the pie,
Right.
and they get caught up in that. But this
Yeah.
was good.
And I get it. Maybe Ray just thought that Joe Adams could take him to another level
Yeah,
that Jeff wasn't going to
yeah,
be able to take
yeah,
him to. And that happens. I mean, we get it. You're trying to get to that next level. I mean, we've seen it with the Serena sisters, with
yeah,
the Venus. I'm sorry, with the Williams sisters.
yeah,
Their dad could only take them to a certain point.
yeah.
Beyonce did it, with her father. Who
See
else?
what the
Even
difference?
even the boxer, Floyd.
Yeah, his father was, and
Yeah,
then
his father was his cornerman.
But
So
think about
I get that.
Serena though, and think about Richard Williams though. Richard Williams is the only one that did it himself.
Hmm.
Remember, he went out to try to get help. Like they didn't backstab him or
Right,
didn't
correct.
fire him. He was the only
Yeah,
one that
yeah,
ended up doing that. The other ones were side swipes that you named.
yeah, 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 definitely.
And they
So,
did it to
you
Bill
know,
Jackson.
yeah, but you got to be, those interactions and what you're building and everything, like those friendships.
Yeah,
Even Fathead.
yeah, yeah,
Even Fathead was the one that introduced him to the heroin, and even he said when Ray was looking to take that, when he took that first hit, he was like, "Nah, I don't want no part of this."
mm-hmm,
And you have friends. There are friends out there that will try and keep you from certain things. He was
mm-hmm,
like, "No, Ray, you don't want no parts of this,"
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because he already knew. Fathead already knew.
I already knew what it
That was,
was.
and I'm sorry, that was Bokeem Woodbine's
Yeah,
character, was Fathead. Was
yeah,
actually Fathead. But he had been with him since
yep,
the Chitlin circuit, when he was
yep,
with the original, the guy that brought him on.
yeah,
He
yep.
brought him along there too. And then even Joe Adams, him, I think, and did Fathead stay with him after Joe Lennox was there?
I
After he fired,
remember.
I'm trying to remember if I think he did, because when they did the what was that, Georgia, when they did Georgia on My Mind, him and Regina King's character,
Yeah,
Margie, was sitting in that booth or something like that, outside of the studio where they were doing recording
yeah,
Georgia on My Mind.
yeah,
So I think he was still with him.
yeah.
But but the guy Joe Adams, he came in, and Fathead wasn't trying to have it. It like, look, I done been here. Look, and even I think he even said, like, Ray, I just got here. It's like we were still setting up.
Yeah,
You know, this is how we usually roll. You know it, but now you all of a sudden you're gonna get brand new
yeah,
because of this dude.
yeah. And that
You
happens
know,
all the time. And people's
uh,
like really like the people that have been riding with you, and then you seeing that level of success that you want to get to, and you feel like they can't. But the loyalty, but he
yeah,
had people pulling, he needed those people to pull his coattail, and they knew him. And I think
yeah,
some in the movie they were showing like he was tired of that. Like he was
mm-hmm,
tired of people that he trusted telling him about himself. Because if you're doing what you want to do, you ain't trying to hear somebody who really cares about you, because you
yeah,
ain't hearing it from the people that's just trying to get the money from you. They letting you be reckless and kill your career, do
yeah,
whatever. They're
and
not. Then sometimes when you're doing wrong, like you ain't trying to hear from the people who wants to try to set you straight.
yeah, and here's the thing too about that, where having the people around you, because even and those that are the superstars or whatever changing. I heard that about Martin, on his show, when he became the executive producer.
Mhm.
They said that there was this rift between him and the rest of the cast,
Yeah,
because he was now on the other side of that.
yeah,
He had to be he was one of the ones in charge.
yeah.
So there was a different thing. And I think they even said that about Will Smith on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air,
Oh,
when he became one of the executive producers. There was
yeah.
this, you know, there
Because
was
he
this
was the
this
least
this
experienced and least talented in acting, and then all of a sudden he becomes your boss.
right, 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 right. So those dynamics play a part in becoming successful. And I mean, Ray was just, he was a once in a lifetime talent.
Mm-hmm.
To overcome everything that he overcame. I'm talking from the blindness to the addiction to, like you were saying, he smoked marijuana and drank heavily, which is
Oh,
sad.
he
that
died.
that usually, when you think about musicians or you think about entertainers, I told you, I mean, we talk about this all the time, just how that industry will suck you dry.
Mm-hmm.
It will literally take your heart out and rip
Yeah,
it apart if you
especially
allow it to.
of
And
it, of the
yeah,
of the industry, and not
and
just in it.
yeah, and especially the people that are around you, because I promise you, Ray Charles, even back then, had a bunch of leeches. people that were living off of him and
Mm-hmm.
his talent. And
Mm-hmm.
we've done plenty of the movies. We talked about Tina Turner and
Mm-hmm.
her story. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about those that were in this industry
Mm-hmm.
and who have had people around them that
Yeah.
didn't care anything about them. Michael
Right.
Jackson, we talked about the Jacksons last week,
Right.
that did not care. All they wanted was the benefits that
The
came along with being
benefits.
attached to those people,
Absolutely.
you
This
know.
was good,
And,
Leroy. Mm.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's it's sad, and I think about Ray Charles, and like I said, it's just watching that movie. I mean, I just thought that Jamie Foxx did a phenomenal job of
No.
of of telling that story. All
Yeah.
of them, not just
Yeah.
him, but the whole cast. I mean, that
Yeah.
was a perfectly cast movie.
Yeah.
Even from the guy that plays I didn't write his name down. The one that plays is it Arnold? Was it? No, I wrote it down. What was his name? Ahmed Curtis Armstrong. He played Ahmed, the Jewish guy of it
Oh, yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
Atlantic, the
Yeah.
owner of Atlantic, one of the
Yeah.
owners of
Yeah,
Atlantic.
yeah.
And that was to me, I really thought that that's where they made a mistake when what was it, whatever the other record label, Columbia, whatever it was offering Ray
Yeah.
all of that they offered him, and he's the first. Let me say this, y'all. He was the first um musician, or at least black musician, to get the rights to own his
Yep.
masters. I
Yep.
thought that was
Yep.
powerful. I love that
Yep.
scene where
Yep.
he was like, "I think I'm gonna have to own my masters."
Yep.
They were like, "But Ray,"
Yep.
they were like,
We don't do
"Nobody's
that.
done that."
Yep.
They were like, Sinatra didn't even at the
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Frank Sinatra didn't even own his masters. I don't
Yep.
think.
Yep.
That's how um monumental that was.
Yep.
That's how iconic that was,
Yep.
to own your masters.
Yep.
And we want to those artists out here today, own your intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
And hit people are so
Mm-hmm.
hungry. These artists out here are so hungry for a deal that they'll sell it. So who was that? Was it? I think it's Future just sold
Oh,
his masters for something like, I think, 75 million.
that's insane.
It was something like that. He just sold his masters
So that shows
for
you
his music
how
now.
that just shows how lucrative having your masters are. That just shows you right there. Like if you own
Right.
your masters, you're gonna be set. Because think
You can
about the
set yourself
commercials. Think about all the commercials that use Ray Charles music.
right. But
And
here's
all,
the thing. Here's the drawback of it. Right. To own your masters, because anything that has his music, Ray Charles's estate. Y'all know that the TV show that you just mentioned, the Cosby Show, playing that song. When that comes on those reruns, who you think still
yeah,
getting a check?
it's the state. Yeah,
His estate still gets a
yeah,
check
yeah,
for that.
yeah.
That's how important it is to own your masters,
And he's
to
part of
own your intellectual property.
and he's part of pop culture because as soon as that came on in the movies, remember when they did the scene doing the right
Hmm.
time? That's the first thing you thought about. The Cosby Show.
Every time,
Every
every
time.
time you hear, every time you hear Kanye West song,
Yep. Think of
I
Ray
ain't saying she a gold digger.
Yep.
Cha-ching.
Time.
Ray
That's
Charles,
good to
Ray
me.
Charles estate gets a check.
And let's end right
That
there.
that's
Let's
what
let's
owning your
end.
royalties is.
There you go. All right, this has been more than just a movie. Leroy, what should they do? We talked about Ray. If you haven't seen any of the shows, make sure you go to the More Than Just a Movie playlist to catch your favorite movie as we talk about it, as you see here, and all of the other ones the way that we do. We add life into it. We talk about it in different ways. I haven't seen anybody talk about the classic black films like we do. What should they do, Leroy?
Y'all want to go ahead, and first you want to subscribe. First we want you to hit that subscribe button. Then we want you to like, hit that bell so that you can get notified when Miss Kendall is on and when we are on. Cause y'all know she got more than this show, So And she on all the days. How many days of the week are you on? You on 7 days a week, aren't you?
As
I
much
swear
as
you got
I
a show every
can,
day.
as much as I can.
I know. I was just like, she done took Tom Joyner's spot. She the hardest working one.
I need Tom Joyner's money. That's what I
I
need.
know, right? You know what
Man,
I'm
I
saying?
know he
Tom
ain't nothing
chilling.
for a nickel. He's
Tom
somewhere
is
chilling.
chilling.
Mm-hmm.
He is chilling right about now. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we want you to comment too, because we really want to know what you all think about the movies that we talk about. We really want to know what you all, if y'all are feeling the movies that we're putting up and that we're doing and that we're talking about. We want to hear y'all opinions about it. If there's something that y'all think about that y'all want to add to the discussion that we might not have talked about, certainly we definitely want y'all to add to it. So like, subscribe, comment, share, 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 share. Tell a friend, share it to a friend. All of those good things we want you to do because hey, we do this for y'all. We do this for y'all. We enjoy it. We enjoy talking about movies
Yep,
and
we do.
everything.
We
So.
get excited. We get excited. We get excited. And of course, I wouldn't want to do this show with anybody else other than my brother, my boy, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. Next week, I'm so excited because we are going to be talking about the New Edition story. Woo! We're going to
Oh
end
Lord.
our
You go, are
musical.
you gonna make a couple phone calls? Maybe we get a surprise guest like Johnny
Man,
Gill,
that
Ricky
would be the
Bell. You know they're your boys. So
wouldn't that be? That would be if you seen one pop up, man. Can you imagine? Come on now, and it's
and she
that
and she just went to go see two of her
yeah,
boys in concert. So
I did. Now some might say, Kendall, that's not a classic black film. It is to me because New Edition is classic and black, and they had a film.
right. So they checked all the boxes.
They checked all the boxes. So, yes, we're going to be talking about the New Edition story, and we might factor in Bobby Brown's story in there too with that.
Yeah,
Um,
you know we are. You know
yes,
we are. Yeah.
yes, to end this musical movie month. That's gonna roll over into October, and then we're gonna go on from there and then decide. But you gotta be here next week as we talk about the New Edition story. And the background might be changed a little bit. We'll see how it looks. I'm still working on some
You
stuff.
know
So
she probably gonna have New Edition all up
I
on there. She
thought
probably
about
gonna
it.
have
I was like,
all them pictures she got with New Edition. I know she gonna put that up there.
ooh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, you should do
Ooh,
that.
I might
You
have
should
to.
definitely do that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so vain. I don't know.
No, that's dope. I think it's dope. I think that would
Okay,
be dope. I think you should
okay.
do it. So
Maybe I'll
yeah.
maybe I'll do that. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching More Than Just a Movie. Make sure, like Leroy said, subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you for watching. God bless y'all. Peace.